Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with a Senna basic guy. Now Senna is of course a support, can be played as ADC but it's not really good, who mainly scales off of souls, which drops from minions, and if you last hit the minions, the chance of it dropping a soul is going to be much lower, which is why Senna is generally played in support. Now Jenna works a lot like an ADC but has a lot of supportive capabilities. Her main damage output comes from her basic attacks, however her Q does both damage as well as heal allies which it passes through, and she has a lot of supportive capabilities like having a AoE root on her W, as well as a mist to cover the identity of her allies and increase the movement speed, as well as an ultimate which both does damage and shields allies. So she's sort of a mix between a carry combined with a support. And obviously being an ADC playstyle is my most played support. So now let's go take a look at exactly what Senna is all about in the practice tool. Okay, so now we're first going to take a look at her passive. So this is going to be a little bit complicated to explain, but basically Senna gets mists as her passive, and I'm going to show you guys what that does. So first up, there's two ways to get mist, one from minions and one from enemies. So every time you auto attack an enemy, for example, you see like I attack this guy, you're gonna see he has those like hands coming out of him. When you attack him again, you're gonna suck that in and you're gonna collect a stack of mist. So you guys can see here, actually let me just do that again. So here we can see we have two stacks of mist absolution. You can see that here the mist gives you AD, range, crit chance, and lifesteal. So how does this work? Basically every stack of mist grants you 1 attack damage, and every 20 stacks of mist grants you 15 additional attack range and 15% crit chance. And if you exceed 100% crit chance, that crit chance is going to be converted into physical vamp, and that is how it works. So also of course when you suck the mist out from an enemy, it also does bonus damage. So as a result of this passive, Senna doesn't actually gain any AD on her level up, and her crits do 50% less damage. With the crit thing was actually buffed in patch 4.2, so it used to do like 75% less damage, something like that. But once again, we're going to show the on-hit damage. So here you can see one auto did like 39, and with the on-hit it does 99, so a lot of extra on-hit damage. So now I'm going to show you guys the next way you can get the mist, which is via minions. So here I'm gonna give myself 0 cooldown. Let me just go ahead and flash on over to the lane. So here you can see when minions die, they have a chance to drop mist. Let's see if that one drops. No, it did not. Cannons have a 100% chance of dropping mist if you don't last hit them. So this is a mist, it stays on the ground for a little while, and you have to attack it to pick it up. So for example here I'm attacking it, so I'm gonna actually end up picking up the mist. So here you guys can see another mist drop. You can also collect your mist using your Q like that, and you can also collect mist using your ultimate. So if another random mist just randomly drops here, nope. So let me just lower the health of some minions by a little bit. Maybe some mist will drop. No mist here. Alright, there we go. So you can see there's a mist here. If you ult the mist, you can see that it's gonna, if you ult the mist in the center, you can see it's actually gonna collect, but it doesn't actually collect from the side. So anyways, I'm gonna explain what her rest of her abilities do. So first up is her Q. So her Q does a lot of things, so it's kind of really complicated here. So let me just spawn a couple of dummies and as well as a couple of allies. So her Q basically shoots through everything, and it's gonna heal allies as well as yourself and damage enemies. So it hits everything. So here you guys can see like that I can shoot through this ally and hit the skull crab like this, and it's gonna heal this guy, and I can also shoot through him, and it's gonna heal him and damage both of these enemies. Of course the enemies at the back take less damage depending on how many enemies it passes through. So here like that you can see you heal yourself, heal your allies, and you damage your enemies. It's that simple like that. But you have to note you can't just launch it like that. You have to shoot through something. So you can even shoot through a ward. So for example, if you need to attack these guys, there's nothing to shoot through. You can actually ward and shoot through your ward to actually attack them. And yeah, you can also shoot through plants, and you can also shoot through towers. Pretty much anything that can be targeted you can shoot through, but you cannot just shoot it at nothing. So the next ability you have is your W. Basically, it's a relatively long-ranged ability. You can see it travels relatively slow, and when it hits someone, it's gonna come up a circle around them, and it's gonna root everybody in that circle after about half a second. So that's kind of your main form of CC. And next up, you have your E. So when you pop your E, you're going to go into this mist after about half a second. You're going to gain bonus movement speed, and you're going to become this ghoul. Now, you're always going to be in the center of the mist, so you can't actually use this to pretend you're not in the center. But if your allies go in, their identity will be concealed like that, and if they come out for a few seconds, for a second or so, they're going to actually be a ghoul. Now, it doesn't work on the ally. Oh, it does work on the ally dummy, so you can see that he's kind of like a ghoul for a while. He can step in and out, and after the mist ends, obviously it does not work anymore. But here you can see, basically, his identity is concealed, so you don't know if this is your Malphite, or this is your Yasuo, or this is your Jinx, for example. So you can conceal their identity, and using that, they can kind of try to surprise enemies. And finally, you have ultimate. As you guys can see, the ultimate is global, so when you shoot it, it's gonna hit everything, basically. So the middle does damage to enemies, and the sides and middle shields allies. So you can see here, if I shoot like that, it's gonna damage these two people, and it's gonna give this dummy a shield. So if I shoot like that, for example, it's gonna only give him a shield, but it's not gonna damage enemies, because you have to hit them in the very center line, like that. Yeah, and there we go. So now that we've covered Senna's skills, now we can talk about Senna's leveling order. So here I'm gonna actually reset my level, and on level 1 you want to take Q. Level 2, you want to take your W. Level 3, you want to take another point in Q, similar to Ash. Your E doesn't have any kind of combat statistics, so you don't want to take your E. And then you only take your E at level 4, and then you take your Alt. Max your Q first, followed by your W. Of course, take Alt whenever available. And then you max your E last. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about Senna combos. Now, Senna has one very basic combo in lane, and that's her Q auto Q combo, which also... not Q auto Q, auto Q auto, not Q auto Q, auto Q auto combo, which basically procs your Kraken Slayer. So basically, you guys can see here, you auto Q auto. Now what this does is, it actually reduces the amount of time it takes for you to pull off your auto attack, because your Q animation cancels your auto. So here you can see the auto animation is like that. You have like a recoil kind of thing, and if you instead Q auto Q, you can see you actually remove that like recoil animation from your first auto attack. So overall it increases your DPS and allows you to output more damage, as well as proccing your Kraken Slayer. So you can see here, 1 stack, 2 stacks, 3 stacks. But if you instead do here you get, you guys can see, you get like 269 DPS. Instead, if you do like auto Q auto, instead you can do like 700 like DPS, for example. It's like really quick, like just like that. So really kind of fast there. Instantly procs your Kraken Slayer, and it's just amazing. So next up, we're going to actually talk about her tips and tricks. So the first kind of tip I have to give you guys is don't last hit cannon minions, because sometimes, for example, if there's no allies, you can still actually like just attack minions and get the last hit. Of course, really difficult to do that with this huge wave. However, you don't ever want to last hit cannon minions, because the cannon minions will of course give you a guarantee. So as I mentioned just now, let me just get this cannon low so I can kind of demonstrate what I mean. This cannon minion is going to give me a soul so long as I don't last hit it. So here you guys can see when it dies like that, it's gonna give me a soul guaranteed, and I can of course grab that soul and get more passive stacks. So you never want to kill cannon minions. Next up is using your Q to heal allies. Now, most of the time, a lot of Sennas are focused on doing damage, but don't forget you're playing support. So you have to also focus on healing your allies. So you don't just focus on like, you know, using your Q on enemies. Like for example, let's say you're like just walking in between lanes, there's no enemy around. You can actually just use your Q to heal your allies, because don't forget you are still a healing and shielding support. So if I put an ally dummy, like for example, you're just in lane here, he's farming, for example, he's half health, you can just use your Q to heal him and you know, get him more healthy. Now next up, there's a combo you can do, which here you can see, for example, if your W doesn't reach, you can actually W flash, and it's actually going to extend the range of your W. So this is a very useful combo to surprise enemies. Didn't mean to press my E there. So you can see here, the W is out of range, but if I W flash, you can actually see the W ends up going in range, and it's a really nice trick to kind of surprise enemies. but of course you have to expend your flash for that, so you don't want to just use it willy-nilly. You want to use it in a case where, for example, you know you do this, you can of course kill them with your allies or by yourself, for example. So the not final, but another trick I can give you guys is to, of course, use your W on minions when they're about to die. So for example, if I put an enemy dummy here, you can see if I W this minion, it's going to proc instantly. So boom, you can see he instantly gets rooted. There's no like this ring thing where like it takes time to trigger, because if the minion is going to die, it's going to instantly trigger on death. So your W of course triggers on death. So here I can do the same kind of trick with I was trying to do the same trick with the cannon minion, but he kind of just ran away. So anyways, let me just get some other minions low. So here you can see, once again, I can launch this W at this minion. It's going to instantly pop, boom, and it's going to root my enemy right over there. This is something that a lot of people don't really know. Really, really useful in lane, of course. And finally, the last tip is don't auto attack when you're in your E. So here you can see that when I'm in my E, I'm in this ghoul form, so I cannot be targeted here. So if a Twisted Fate tries to stun me or a Pantheon tries to stun me, it's not gonna work. But if I auto attack, I'm gonna actually break the camouflage and they can actually attack me. So here you guys can see, if I auto attack like that, you can see that now I'm not a ghoul anymore, I'm now Senna again. So if I walk away, it's gonna take like half a second to turn back into the ghoul. And during which time, they can of course stun you and like just basically do damage to you. But if you're in this form, like this ghoul form, they cannot auto attack you, they cannot do anything like that. They can throw skill shots at you, like for example this one or like this one, but they cannot target you using targeted abilities. So all that out the way, that's it for our Senna basic guide. Thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.